playing some heroes and generals here. They finally let me become part of the Air Force. Not sure how that happened, because I'm not exactly Top Gun standard at the moment. I'm going after their parachuting plane here. Stop them parachuting people in. But it's got pretty good heroes and generals recently. I didn't end up being part of the Air Force for long, because unfortunately, 3 of my ground troops ran in front of one of my bombs. I was helping that guy with gravity, because he looked like he had a bit of a problem with it. But for a free-to-play game, it's not that bad. And to be fair, there aren't that many good World War II games out at the moment. But what we're doing here is, I'm going to finish this sortie over this town, which you'll recognise from the previous Heroes and Generals videos. I was in that bell tower as a sniper, one of the other ones, and then we're going to move on and do some infantry gameplay further down the river. There's actually a really good story, like later on in this video as well. But first of all, I wanted to say, Happy New Year! I hope you had a good Christmas. If you didn't have a good Christmas, I could kind of fix that for you. Because I've been collecting, over Christmas, some Christmas quacker jokes. Christmas quacker? I've been collecting some. So I figured I'd tell you them now. Because what could make a better video? If you make it through the next minute without killing yourself, good job. But this is the first one. What does Miley Cyrus eat for Christmas? Twerky! I'm here all week, unfortunately. Next one. What do the royal family play at Christmas instead of musical chairs? Game of Thrones! Why are there so many bakeries in the deep south? Because they're all in a bread! No? Tough audience, I'm guessing. But you guys, I'm really glad you subscribed. I have got something better though in this video. Originally, I was going to do this on the real Robinson Crusoe, because I've been reading a bit of Robinson Crusoe, and I thought since Stranded Deep, which is basically a game where you're stranded on a desert island, comes out soon, I thought I'd do it on the real Robinson Crusoe, who is Alexander Selkirk. Like, the book was actually based on this man's real life. But whilst I was looking up that stuff, I happened to read about this naval commander called Ian Forbes in World War II, who all of the 4 ships he was on sank. One of them, he ended up stranded on a desert island. But he was also in the Battle of Denmark Strait, which was pretty much like the biggest disaster of World War II. And because this article reminded me of that, I thought I'd tell you a bit about it, because well, I think it's quite interesting. So this was the tale. Basically, in 1941, Britain pretty much controlled the waters around Britain, but they had a problem because the Germans, they'd taken over Norway at that point, used to sail over the top of Britain, in between Iceland and Greenland, and then destroy the supply ships that were coming from America and other places, like across the Atlantic. 2 of the German ships were the Bismarck and the Prince Eugene, and they kind of worked together, and then Britain sent out to intercept them the HMS Hood and the Prince of Wales, so it was basically 2v2. I just want to explain what's going on, by the way, because Heroes and Generals is pretty tactical. This is obviously the overview map. We're meant to be trying to take this train station here. This is our final objective. And then there's a German, well, there's a US base here, because I'm actually playing as Germans at the moment, because I wanted to try out their sniper rifle. And then X1 is the farmhouse that I just took to sort of make them draw troops back from their base. So I'm going to head down now as a sniper and try and disrupt things at their base. Anyway, Bismarck, Prince Eugene, middle of the Atlantic. Now the Prince of Wales was a brand new ship. In fact, it was so brand new, it actually wasn't completely finished. They were finishing it as it was sailing out to intercept the Germans. And HMS Hood was built like 25 years before World War II, so it was slightly out of date. And this was probably the reason why it was such a big disaster. Basically, a ship's got like several layers of armour. Beneath the waterline, where torpedoes would hit, they've got what's called torpedo bulkheads. So these are like compartments behind the outside armour of the ship. So when a torpedo hits, it blows away that compartment, but they're sealed, so the explosion doesn't actually let water into the rest of the ship. It kind of deflects the explosion away. Now above that, they've got what's called belt armour, and this is really thick armour, like from a metre below the waterline up to almost the deck. And this is designed to stop close range. And by close range, I mean like 10, 12 miles away shells. Like, that's how far naval engagements are. Bear in mind, the shells that ships fired at that time were literally as big as me or you, like 6 foot. 800 kilograms. I'm not 800 kilograms, but these are massive shells that fired huge distances, and that's why they needed like 12-15 inches of armor. And even then, that didn't stop some armor-piercing shells. One of the shells that the Prince of Wales fired at the Bismarck went through both sides of its hull, like all the way through the ship without exploding. Like, they're literally that powerful. The third layer of armor, though, is called deck armor, and this was basically designed to stop shells like looping down, because obviously if you're firing a shell from like 15-17 miles away, it's gonna loop down under the pull of gravity and hit onto the deck. And this was actually like one of the tactics they used. And the HMS Hood, because when it was built, shots from 17 miles away were pretty inaccurate, it didn't have very thick deck armor, like only 3 inches, and that was only designed to stop like shrapnel from shells after they'd already exploded. And this is what made the HMS Hood really weak. Now, of course, the British Navy knew this, but for some reason there was just a massive amount of confusion. I think it was mainly because they assumed the Bismarck, being like the pride of the German Navy, would be leading the Prince Eugene. Now, I'm not entirely sure why it hinges on this, but the Prince Eugene ended up leading the Bismarck. So, for some reason after that, the HMS Hood started firing at 24,200 meters, like an insane distance away, and then ended up approaching at the wrong angle into like spray. And of course, because the spray is blowing up onto the ship, they can't range find properly. Despite this, the Germans actually didn't start firing at the British for like another 10 minutes because the German High Command hadn't given the order to let them engage. Now, there's actually a radio message that was recorded from the commander of the Bismarck in which he says, "Ich lasse mir doch nicht mein Schiff unter dem Arsch wegschießen. Feuererlaubnis," which means, I'm not getting my arse shut out from under me. Open fire. And they really did. Both ships targeted HMS Hood. One of the first rounds set on fire the 100mm ammo that was being stored on top of the deck. Another round hit the crow's nest, totally destroyed it, because of course these are huge rounds, and just scattered the deck with body parts. Then the fatal hit came. A single 15-inch shell landed just beneath the main mast, penetrated easily through the deck because of the weak deck armour, and hit the ship's magazine of its own 15-inch shells. So there was of course a massive explosion, a huge plume of smoke and fire that went up into the sky, and it literally destroyed like a third of the back of HMS Hood. The ship broke in half. Those who weren't killed by the explosion ended up being trapped beneath the decks from like the mangled mass of metal that the ship now was. There was literally no time for an order to abandon ship because the ship just sank that fast. Most of those who did happen to jump overboard got sucked down after the ship because they couldn't swim away far enough. Only 3 people survived, and the only reason they survived because as they were getting sucked down after the ship, one of the windows on the ship's front broke and the releasing air actually pushed them back to the surface. Nearly 1,500 sailors died in less than 10 minutes, including the admiral of the ship, who according to one of the survivors, a sailor called Ted Briggs, one of the 3 survivors, he said that Admiral Lancelot Holland, who was responsible for the ship, he did as the captain of the Titanic did. He made no attempt to abandon his ship and remained there in his admiral's chair as it went under. The Prince of Wales had to take evasive manoeuvres to avoid the wreckage, which meant its guns were no longer trained on the German ships, and it basically became a turkey shoot for the Bismarck and Prince Eugene. But fortunately they weren't given the command to hunt down and finish off the Prince of Wales, and it managed to escape off. That isn't actually the end of this story though, but I haven't got any more time left in this video to tell you about what happened to the Bismarck, so I might do that in a future video if people enjoyed this one. I just thought if you hadn't heard about this was quite an interesting story. And believe it or not, Paul Allen, who's of course the co-founder of Microsoft, started a mission which didn't actually end up taking place, but he was going to go and recover the bell from the HMS Hood's wreckage as sort of a memorial to the sailors who died there. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. This was my first commentary of 2015, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you're buying any Steam or Origin keys, do use the G2A link in the description. There's literally no reason not to. You get them like 10% cheaper, and the money from that, $1,000 a month, goes to charity. But I'll see you in the next chapter. As I played as German today, we'll see.